Hi, I'm Kara Hansen, and this is my classroom management PowerPoint. So, my philosophical beliefs of my own classroom is that I want all students to want to learn and are able to. I believe that they all can. It's my responsibility to appropriately challenge my students and foster their natural desire to learn. I also believe in building relationships with my students, and I want them to be able to have exciting experiences and opportunities while in my classroom. I believe families are really important in learning success. We're a team working together to achieve the common goal of success for your child. I also believe in being culturally relevant, which means all cultures are taken into consideration in the classroom and that no one is left behind and no one is felt out of place based off of their beliefs. And I also believe that kids come first. I believe in doing what's best for kids, even if it means making the hard decisions. So, some classroom rules and expectations that I hope to set up in my future classroom is I want my students to be respectful of others and objects. I want them to participate. I want them to be prepared. I want them to ask questions and not be afraid to ask questions. And then I also don't want them to interrupt the peers or their teachers, and I want them to have fun. How I would implement this and set this up in probably the first week is I would have it create a class list of expectations. So all of the students would come up with expectations they think would be really good to have in the classroom, and I would write them down. Then I would have everybody sign that list so that they're all held accountable and so that they've all read the list. And then I would have everybody have a copy of that list so that if they're breaking the rules, I can be like, hey, Johnny, you remember you signed the classroom expectations, you know what they are. So that's what I would plan on doing for my rules and expectations. So for incentives, I do plan on having incentives, but only a couple of them. So right now I'm placed at Bluffview Montessori, and one of the incentives that Brianna Fink and Chris Swager, my cooperating teachers, have is called a marble jar. It's where if they've noticed that a student is doing something good, they'll ask that student to put a marble in a separate jar. So they'll have two jars. They have two jars. One is full of marbles and the other one is empty. And every time someone does something good, one jar is placed in the full jar to the other jar. And it just keeps going and keeps adding up. But if there's something that's not good, like they're not cooperating or they're being really rowdy or it takes too long to do something that shouldn't take 10 minutes, then a marble will be taken away from the good jar and put back into the original jar. So when that jar that has all of the marbles going into it fills up, they get a student choice reward. The reason there's that asterisk next to the student choice is because I don't think that students should have full reign of everything. So some of the examples that I've thought of is like, if they want, they can have a pajama day at the end of the week. We can have popcorn as a snack or something if we did really good. Or we could even like have a quick little dance party at the end of the day. It's kind of just a little incentive for them to do good. I also believe in the 100% reward, which means if you get 100% on something, you get some type of recognition for it. So say they get 100% on a spelling test. They get a sticker at the top saying, good job. Or my favorite thing is if they get 100% on an exam, like a huge test or something, like not just spelling, not something that is easy per se. They could also get to choose from a little prize box that I'll have set up, and it'll most likely contain like pencils and erasers and other everyday class items that are really fun and creative and colorful. So those are the incentives that I plan on setting up in my future classroom. Some of the ways that I would manage any misbehavior. Dr. Anderson in 440 has said that the only time she really addresses any misbehaviors is if it's a safety concern. Like if someone is throwing a pencil around the room or throwing a pencil at the wall and that has the potential to poke someone's eye out, that's when I would address it right then and there and be like, hey, Susie, no, don't, no, that's really bad. But if it's just kind of like a minor nuisance, like they're getting up and walking around the room, I kind of let it go on unless it becomes a huge problem for the other students, like it's really distracting. So I also believe in something called the 4 Ps, which at the teacher panel we learned that from the kindergarten teacher from Goodview. It's praise publicly and punish privately. I never really thought about it that way, but it's a really, really good idea, and I would love to use that in my future classroom. So I'd pull a student aside, probably like during free work time or even after class, and just like kind of quietly be like, okay, so you know why I'm doing this? You know what you did wrong? Like, what can we do to fix that? What can we do that to make things better and so that won't happen again? I'd also have misbehavior management. Like, if they're doing something really bad, like a whole class or even just a single student, I would privately have them take out a marble from the jar, or I would just walk around the classroom and pluck a marble out of the jar, and so that they kind of understand that we're doing something wrong. We need to change whatever we're doing. Also, if there's chronic misbehavior, which I work at Legacies and we have a lot of emotional and social like problems. We have a lot of EBD students that are clients at Legacies, and I start something called the behavior plan. And that's where I would get together with my client and a parent. So in this case, it would be a student and a parent, and we would try and come up with a plan. So it would be like how we would prevent these behaviors from happening again, what the behavior is, what's causing the behavior, is there anything that's like triggering the student to make this behavior, and try and solve it in kind of a little formal yet informal piece of paper that kind of like the class list of expectations they would sign, and then the parent can help the student be held accountable. So how I would communicate with the parents, other than the behavior plans, is I plan on doing something called the weekly letter to parents. So I am a senior, and I've already had a lot of my content classes, and we had to do a letter to parents in Education 328 and 329, which is both of the reading courses. I wouldn't have something that detailed. It would mostly just be like what we'll learn in each subject this coming week. So like math, we're going to learn addition. Science, we're going to learn what sound is and the vibrations and so on and so forth. And also I'd probably have like a little tiny mini calendar, like just like the week across the bottom that says like any birthdays or special events or special days on the calendar. I'd also have a newsletter that I'd put out at the start of the year, and that is just detailing the information about the teacher, like myself, information about some of like the important people, like the principal, the nurse, the school counselor, everything, and even if there's like potentially like a student teacher or something. And then I also have just the first name of every student on that list, only if like the proper people approve, like if the principal says that's okay. And then I'd also have like monthly events that families can go to, which I would try and hold at a local park so it's outside of a school event. But if that's not possible, I'd have it in a gymnasium. Maybe like a potluck or something, or just like a little get together for the students to see their friends outside of the classroom, for the teachers to meet all of the students, and I'll meet all of the parents, and even the parents to meet the other parents. And then, if possible, I would do home visits. Don't remember which teacher of mine, which professor said that she wished she would have done home visits before school even started, so like in August, going to every student's every student's house if they allow it, and meeting the family in like an informal setting so that the student and the family is comfortable with the teacher before school even starts. Some of the routines that I wish to establish, I have no idea what just happened, is I would love to have a morning routine, which I wouldn't be able to essentially establish until the grade level is known, and then I've met the students. So like the younger grades, it would kind of just be like, okay, we need to get together, we need to sit in a circle around the rug, or we need to like do like a song or something at the beginning of the day. In the older grades, it would be like, okay, we know where we're supposed to hand in our homework, we know like we're supposed to like do individual reading or something. Just kind of wait until everybody comes back from the classroom, like if there's any special things, like someone's having breakfast or like the buses are running late, so no one's missing anything vital. I also would have a cleanup routine. When I was at daycare, when I was like younger, probably age 3 through 8, we had a cleanup song that Chris, my daycare provider, would have us sing as we cleaned up. It was just really fun as a kid to be able to sing and have that while I cleaned up, and it definitely helped. It was super simple, so I'd probably teach the students that, and then what am I gonna say? Have them sing it while they clean up. I'd also have an end of the day routine, which is At Bluffview, my current placement, we have a song that we sing with the first through third graders, the classroom that I'm in. And it's kind of just a great way to unwind and to also realize, like, hey, the end of the day is coming. We still need to be in the classroom and we still need to be students, but we don't need to have that mindset of like learn, 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 you know? It's just really simple. It's really fun and the kids really enjoy it. I'd also have an end of the week celebration. I haven't really kind of thought about what that would be. It's really dependent upon the grade level and my students. Probably just something like a wrap up. Like maybe I'd send out the letter to the parents for the following week. I'd put it in like a folder or something, and I'd have all of their assignments that I could put in a folder that's graded, and like here's any like the spelling list if we have a spelling list for next week. I'd put it in a folder and have every student like grab that folder, and then we would like line up at the door or something like that. And then routines. It's not really necessarily a routine, but I think birthdays are pretty important. And on birthdays, something special is like the birthday boy or girl will be able to bring in one object that they love for like a show and tell share time. Their families can come in for a small celebration if they want, like just during the time that we're actually recognizing them. And then the family can do whatever they want. Like if they want to bring a treat, they don't have to if they don't want to, but that'd just be something fun that they could do. And then everybody in the class, like teachers, students, family, if they come, they can sing happy birthday to the birthday girl or boy. And then the student can also choose a pencil from that prize box that I mentioned earlier for the 100% reward. All right, so power of words. Something that I learned from 440 is, and actually just every classroom that I've been in, a lot of the teachers say you guys, and I'm guilty of this. I say you guys to try and get the attention of all of my tutorees and my students and my guided reading groups and all of that. But I would try and avoid that by saying something like, hey friends, or hey third graders, or fifth graders, or even something like, we talked in class the other day about like, if you're learning science, be like, hey scientists, or if we're doing reading stuff, we could be like, hey readers, kind of thing, just to avoid the you guys, because not all of your students are going to be males, and not all of the male students are going to appreciate being called guys. Another thing I got from the Power of Words article in the module is I would like to be direct with my students, but not pushy. So I wouldn't want to do something like the example that they provided about David and Marta, like, hey, I really like how they're doing this. And then it makes them kind of separated and makes them feel like, oh no, all of my classmates are going to hate me because I did something right and they didn't, kind of thing. So I would do something like John, stop throwing your pencil, or Maria, stop pinching David, kind of thing, but not in a way that like scares them or intimidates them, because I don't want my students to be afraid of me. And then also following back to like the 4 Ps, the punish privately and praise publicly, or the other way around. I would praise my students kind of publicly, not like interrupting my lesson and not making a big deal out of it, but I would still do it. But I would also say like, good job on cleaning up so quickly, friends, or wow, friends, this room is really clean, or I love how quiet it is in here. Fantastic job, third graders. Something so that they realize they're doing something right, but it's also not a disruption for the class day. And then inclusivity. I really like inclusive. I love being inclusive. I hated being separated and being apart while I was in elementary school, and even today when I'm 21 years old. Some way I'd try to be inclusive in my classroom is I would definitely differentiate. I really, really enjoy the concept of choice boards. I really enjoy Bloom's taxonomy and multiple intelligence activities, playing into the students and my strong suits. Being able to show my understanding in a way that I understand and in a way that makes the most sense to me would probably be the best thing that I could have. To be culturally relevant, as I mentioned in the beginning, maybe incorporating a project about like the different countries or the religions if it's school approved. And then if there's any disabilities, see if the student would feel comfortable talking about it, so that it's not such a mystery and such an oddity. I also plan on being equal, so like popsicle sticks with names on them, so everybody has the opportunity to share and speak once, and so that there's not someone who's dominating the conversation. And then I'd also create a different list of jobs and chores that every student can choose at the beginning of the week. So like one person's the line leader for this week, but then the next week they're getting water and they're cleaning something different. Just being equal. All right, that's my classroom management presentation.